Welcome back to the Pop Tournaments podcast. In Pop Tournaments, we take a category of pop culture and let you, the fans, vote on matchups in a single elimination tournament format to determine an ultimate champion. We are here to discuss those results and the upcoming matchups. It is September 21st, 2020. I am Jake Wicker, and with me is Ryan Barrett.
Do you remember?
And Jennifer Schmidt.
Hi, friends.
We're here to talk about scary movies. Actually, we're here to talk about the second half of our scary movies tournament. We've got a few other movies to get through and some surprises for you guys. Real quick though, Halloween is coming up. I want to ask you guys. What sort of costumes are your favorite costumes? Do you like the silly ones? Do you like the scary ones? Punny, in between characters. What Jennifer? What's your favorite type of costume?
I love homemade costumes. Like I make my 7-year-old wear a homemade costume every year. Like I love putting different things together. So I'm not like hand sewing because I don't do that, but kind of assembling different things and all of that. So my favorite one, we made him he was a Ninja Turtle one year, and we made the shell out of those aluminum roasting pans that you can get at the dollar store, and popped it out. Nice. And I painted it and made a little harness on him, and he was so adorable.
Nice.
Raise your hand if you've dressed up as a Ninja Turtle before.
Awesome. I just dressed up a child as one, so it kind of counts.
That definitely counts. You're kind of like Splinter.
Yes,
Ryan,
exactly. Yep.
Ryan, do you have
a wise old rat?
A favorite category, or
I mean,
2 questions: favorite category, and have you ever been a character?
Have I ever been a what character? Sorry.
Just a character.
Yeah.
So, First question: what's your favorite category costume? And second question: have you ever dressed up as an iconic character?
Yeah. First question. I really like homemade. Doesn't really matter if it's scary or funny. I think I generally like funny more than scary or cute. When you're dealing with being at the door and greeting kids. I just love adorable costumes. There were one of our neighbors at our old house. They have 4 kids, and they all dressed up as different characters from Nacho Libre. And
that's so
that
awesome.
Was so weird and creative. And the baby of the bunch had a habit, a nun's habit. And it was just so random and hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I think
for those of you, just real quick, the nun was not smoking. It's not that kind of habit.
Yeah. But it's I mean, I think relatively obscure, kind of quirky costumes I enjoy. As far as iconic characters I've dressed up as, I definitely, I dressed up as a Ninja Turtle, Leonardo, as a kid. I also dressed up as Mario as a kid, like everyone. Those are kind of the big ones. The weirdest costume I ever dressed up as, and this was before I really knew who this was, but my parents dressed me up as Land Shark from Saturday Night Live.
Funny.
And to me, I was just I'm dressed up as a shark. But my parents were like, Candy Graham, they were doing all the bits for me.
Awesome.
If I search hard enough, it's going to be a very, very grainy cell phone picture. But if I search hard enough, I have a picture of Ryan Barrett as, do you want to take a guess? It's an iconic character.
Jesus Christ?
Oh, no, even more iconic than that.
I don't know.
Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh my God!
Oh,
that was a great costume.
It was perfect. You fit it. You had you had the perfect sunglasses, and we just built it around that.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
what we did.
I remember I bought a blonde wig and then like just cut it to shit.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, I already
Perfect.
got tattoos.
Yep. I got a really like weird aggro looking tank top.
As in a tank top.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
In fourth grade, I was the Terminator 2. I got the in-store purchase of the makeup to make you look like half machine.
Oh, cool. Uh-huh. Did it turn out good?
That was so heavy, though. This was like, what, 92, 93? That it just fell off my face all night.
It was actual metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one year I got a doctor's jacket, so I was Emmett Brown from Back to the Future.
Oh, fun. That's a great
was
one.
easy.
Great
Well,
movies.
I used my Bret the Hitman Hart wraparound glass.
Nice.
Ryan will get that reference.
Oh yeah. I had those too.
You could not have those. No, Halloween's coming up. That's going to be fun. I'm so excited about Halloween costumes. I hope we all take a moment to try and be safe with however we do Halloween this year. There's a lot of
Make sure to have your parents. Make sure to have your parents check your candy. Make sure there aren't razor blades.
Yeah. Ecstasy tablets.
Yeah.
I feel like voter, fake voting is like the razor blades of candy.
Yes, it
Fake
totally
voting in
is.
2020 is the razor blades and candy of 1982. Like
it's
it just
literally-
didn't exist.
It's literally happened never. Like somebody made it up once, and it's become like a.
And it terrified mothers everywhere. Yep.
Well, happy Halloween a month early to everybody, because we won't be celebrating because there's razor blades and candy. So we are
Thanks,
going
Obama.
We're going to talk about the rest of our non-Stellan Skarsgård movies, just scary movies. I got a few more to get through, and guess what? We've actually got some play-in games for you guys. So we're gonna talk about the rest of these movies and then your play-in opportunities. But we're gonna start in that paranormal quadrant, and a big one that we didn't get to last time, the Blair Witch Project from 1999.
Scared the pants off me.
Yeah, it depends on how you saw it. It is definitely a groundbreaking movie, but in my opinion, a very, very scary movie. Some could say almost as scary as seeing a train drive at the screen and then running from the theater because you had never seen something like that before.
Like the very first movie, in case you don't get that reference.
Yeah. I saw
Ryan.
this. I saw this movie in the Uptown Theater, like the opening weekend, and this was before the internet was big and like social media had started, and like the word on the street was that this was literally found footage. Like this was somebody's, home movie. Like they found this camcorder in the woods. And people believed it.
This is what,
And so that made it a lot scarier.
Yeah.
But it's we were talking about this earlier about the things they don't show you making it scary, and this is a classic example of that, where the scariest like visual thing in the movie is a guy standing in a corner.
He's just standing there in the corner of a basement, and it's so terrifying.
It's just a big build-up.
I know.
Yep.
The climax of the movie. I mean, no spoiler alert. No more spoilers.
But I mean, like, it's the equivalent of. I like that you say climax because it's like a scary climax. It's like all that tension built up to that one point that really drives the point home.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
with a big budget, this movie would not have been nearly as scary.
No.
So but it just works because they were so creative. And we forget because, I mean, now the whole shaky cam thing and the found footage thing has become such a cliche, and we're all kind of tired of it. But this one started it.
Yeah, it birthed...
and did it so well that people actually thought it was real. And yeah, it's such a cool movie.
It honestly, like, there's other movies that we're going to talk about on this list that would not exist without this movie. You know, it definitely created a whole, not even necessarily the found footage, you know, subgenre, but just that type of angle, you know, that type of video where it's, you know, steady cams that are set up and stuff like that. So many different parodies of this movie that you could talk about. Personally, I love the Office when Michael's trying to survive and he does that, but I don't think that should take away from how great the original was. It'll be interesting to see how people vote again, because this is now after the fact, because it was such of a build-up like you guys talked about. Yeah, I think it is seen as a cliche, but I don't think it should be. I think this is one that could potentially go far if people see it that way. After that, we have from 2013, The Conjuring, a movie I'm not so familiar with.
I haven't seen it either, actually.
And for me, this is a modern classic. This is the second movie on our list from James Wan, director. He also directed Saw.
Yep.
Okay.
But this movie is a much different level of production. Just incredible performance by Lily. I'm forgetting her name.
I'm glad you're not calling Ron Livingston Lily.
Yes, Livy. That's his nickname, Livy.
Livy.
No, but it's, I mean, just absolutely terrifying. It's one of the you know, most memorable movie going experiences I've ever had. Seeing that in the theater with Rebecca and our friends, a couple of our other friends, and I remember just like gripping her hand and both like absolutely terrified. But it is Lily Taylor is the actress.
Okay.
Incredible performance in this. But yeah, I mean, this is a classic like haunted house kind of ghost movie. But you know, highly recommend if you haven't seen it. It's, you know, I think it's one of my, you know, top dozen or so horror movies. But especially of this, you know, modern era, it's one of the best.
It has Patrick Wilson, and I'm always in when he's there. I love Patrick Wilson.
And he's great too.
I need to check it out.
Him and Vera Farmiga are like,
and she's always great. Yeah. So yeah, this is got to be one I'm gonna watch this month. I'm ready to vote.
Yeah, definitely.
Shocktober, baby.
Yeah, gotta be watching these movies. We'll put up the trailers for all these movies when it comes to the voting, so that at least you can get a little taste. Wet your beak. Rounding out our last movie in the paranormal area is Paranormal Activity.
How?
You can't be paranormal without some paranormal activity, right? At least it's not Paranormal Activia.
Yeah.
Sorry. From 2007, though, launched a big series. Although I will say the original, it clocks in at only an hour and 26 minutes. That's a that's a shorty.
Compact.
It's a great length for a movie, especially a horror movie. That's like perfect.
You know, you say that, but there's so many long movies on this list. The iconic, the famous ones.
Yeah. And you know, I think that's something that you know, if you're making like a very prestige horror movie, it's different. But if you're making like a you know, like an exploitation film or a genre film,
A cash grab.
get in, get out.
Or a found footage film.
Especially a found footage film. You can't stare at that shaky cam. I bet Blair Witch was 90 minutes or less.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
But
we'll send that to the
corrections department.
No, that's somebody else's thing.
Let's
we'll
just
send
ask
that
our
to the
friends
bean
at
counters.
VH1. We'll double check with them.
Yeah, the people at the bean counters at VH1 will take care of that for you.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll show them who's boss.
Definitely a creepy movie, though. Kind of put a new twist on the found footage thing that kind of made its own mark. And definitely, I think this kind of took the found footage thing to the next level of popularity. This movie was
definitely
hugely popular.
And having
and
that
so
many sequels,
spin-offs.
you know, we couldn't. It's one of those things that it's like it's hard not to include it again because we're focusing on movies that are, you know, very well known and establish certain stories and whatnot. So, jumping over to the monsters again, another a movie that we didn't get time to talk about, The Ring from 2002. Definitely, at least at the time, it was a very scary movie for me. I found
it was one of the scariest ones I had seen.
Really creepy.
This was like a phenomenon. It's funny because I feel like it hasn't really aged super well. Not in the sense that it's like problematic, but you just don't really. It's not really in the zeitgeist like some of these other movies. But
got the cowbell.
but it's at the time it was massive. And
that crab walking little creepy girl, like, it was big.
Everywhere.
And we got a sequel out of it. We had some Naomi Watts.
This was kind of the beginning of Naomi Watts' career too.
Yeah, like with the
end of Naomi
mainstream.
Watts'
She had done Mulholland Drive, and then this was kind of her big one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And don't forget, it launched Brian Cox's career.
No, it didn't.
Sorry. But yeah, like you said, right, it's one of those movies. It's only 57 on Metacritic, 71 on Rotten Tomatoes. But I rewatched it recently. It's not a bad movie by any means.
I'm sure. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I bet it still holds up.
It holds up. It definitely holds up, I think. And yeah, so we'll get to those play-ins in a second, but then jumping over again to a different category in our slashers, an iconic one here, something very recognizable, Friday the 13th from 1980. We're kind of talking the whole series here, you know, or the bangers from the series, if you will. Obviously, you know, Jason not really in the first one. It's Mother Voorhees in the first one, but yeah, we can't do this tournament without Friday the 13th in here.
Yeah. I feel like doing this tournament without Friday the 13th is like doing the dad's tournament without Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. Oh, Coach Taylor. Should have won.
No, it's definitely, you know, like we said when we were talking about Freddy, I mean, it's kind of a triumvirate of slashers, you know, and Jason's in there. He's that hockey mask is so iconic, and you know that's the easy Halloween costume. Go get a hockey mask, put on jeans and a hoodie. You're Jason.
Yeah. Now here's a weird thing that I noticed when it comes to those scores again, and how we were talking about how good some of these movies in series are. The original Friday the 13th, a 22 on Metacritic, 64 on Rotten Tomatoes. As compared to the original A Nightmare on Elm Street, 76 on Metacritic, 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. But also at the same time, these movies are traditionally looked at pretty comparably.
Yeah, they really are. Huh.
I think I think the reason they're well, I think part of it is that Friday the Third, or I'm sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street over the years has kind of become more respected. The original has become more respected as like a work of film, where Friday the 13th is kind of looked at as schlock. You know what I mean?
It's one of those movies you go in and talk while it's playing midnight showing.
And it's really not good. You know, it's not the reason great. It's in is because of Jason. You know, it's the series. It's Jason. It's kind of a. I mean, this is the kind of movie that you could have. You know, you could do a Mystery Science Theater with it. You know.
Yeah.
But it's. You know, you can't leave it out. But yeah, this is out of all the movies, this is the only one in the red as far as the Metascore, the Metacritic score. Everything else is at least, you know, in the 50s. This is the only one that has a bad score.
Yeah,
I'm excited with our voters to see, is it going to be Michael? Is it going to be Freddy? Is it going to be Jason that gets out of this category? Like, who's going to make it the farther of those guys murdering teenagers?
Right.
Help.
And I will say, you know, I'm glad to see that so many, because we're going to get knocked by a lot of people saying, why didn't you include this movie? Why didn't you include this movie? And like you said, Ryan,
there's so many great suggestions.
We've got the numbers to back us up. We got the Metacritic numbers. We've got the Rotten Tomatoes numbers. I was very surprised about how well all of these movies on this list were ranked in all of those categories and all those percentages. So, and Jen, I completely agree with you. I think this whole quadrant, it really comes down to who is the, you know, superior crazy Superman. One that I don't want to get forgotten that was really scary to me in my childhood is our next movie, The Candyman. I was so afraid of The Candyman. For the kids that grew up in the 90s, that was like Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
That was your...
Yeah, I was too afraid. I haven't seen this movie either, just because it was too scary. And then I was older, and I was like, I don't need to see this movie. But I was way too afraid of it. Seeing the movie up there at the local, like, family video, like, oh yeah, I was never going to try to watch that.
This was definitely the movie for my generation that, like, I watched over at my friends' houses, like, a dozen times. I watched this movie a ton, and I loved it. And I think being a big fan of, like, hip-hop, having a horror movie that took place, like, in the projects of Chicago was such a cool, like, twist on the genre. And it I just rewatched it again recently. It's kind of a shame because I feel like they could have done so much more with it.
Gotta remember it was like, 92.
Yeah. But I mean, but still, you know, they, even for then, they left a lot of money on the table as far as like, you know, plot things they could have done to make his character more interesting or make the story more interesting. They kind of just left it pretty thin, but still, I mean, a very like well-drawn character. A cool idea for a character and a cool idea for a movie.
And I absolutely love Tony Todd in that role. I thought he was absolutely perfect. Really, again, like you said, they didn't give him much to go with, but man, like, perfect. He definitely scared me, but also stepped into that role perfectly when I was watching that movie. So, yeah, watch out for that hook. And I'm already afraid of bees. So, you know, double whammy.
Bees and hooks. It's a bad combo.
Rounding out that slasher category, one of the newer ones, and I just rewatched this the other day. The Cabin in the Woods. introducing us to Thor.
So smart. Yep. Yeah.
Wait, so it was released in 2011, which I believe is post Thor, correct?
But I think it was filmed before.
It was filmed
Thor was.
pre-Thor, and they kind of took advantage of that. But this is it definitely borders on that horror comedy.
It's definitely like the funniest one on this list.
And we were very careful with that. I won't shy away that I will say that I was a heavy influence in axing Shaun of the Dead. I felt like that was too much of a comedy. Ghostbusters was never included in this, much like Evil Dead. And this movie actually has a lot of shout-outs to Evil Dead, but it borders on that comedy horror genre line.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is like scary, and you've got all of the different elements of horror in there, which what makes it so fun.
It's definitely one of those movies too, without like giving away too much, that turns. You kind of think you think it's one thing, and then it ends up being something else. So,
and especially the way it was originally marketed, that was the other fun thing. I mean, like now we've seen it, but the way it was, there's a complete twist that if you saw this back in the day in the theater, you had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cleverly constructed movie for sure.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it.
I hope people watch it. Again, because I think a lot of people, it's probably one of the lesser known movies on this list, and I hope people give it a try before voting because it's a good time.
It's one of those movies that I think is very beloved by, it's very culty as far as movies that have come out in the last 10 years in this kind of genre. I think a lot of people really love it. So I think that if it has the kind of exposure, that it would need, it has a chance.
Yeah, definitely. It could be a sneaky one. Especially being so, more recent. Then jumping over, we have one more automatic bid in the psychological quadrant. The Wicker Man. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, wait. Yep. Sorry.
Yep,
Never mind.
Yep. The Wicker Man from 1973. As much as we love Nicolas Cage on this podcast, this is not the Nicolas Cage remake. We are talking the original Wicker Man.
Yep.
I am not the original Wicker Man. This is the original Wicker Man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I just know about the bees. The bees.
More
bees.
That's
all I
know. I've never seen the Nicolas Cage version. I've never even watched the YouTube clip, which I've heard about is really funny. But I absolutely love Wicker Man.
Thank you.
This is definitely one of... I love Wicker Man. In case people don't know, Jake's last name is Wicker.
Jacob's, yes.
Yeah. Wicker Man is one of the weirdest movies on here. It's like a pseudo musical. There's there's some weird all of a sudden people break into song. And then it gets kind of it's kind of similar to Midsummer.
Okay, yeah.
But I think Midsummer borrows heavily from Wicker Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Wicker Man's weird. It's not just weird horror movie weird. It's like I said, there's songs in it. People sing songs and not what's the word where it's natural to the plot of the movie,
yeah.
Dia.
Oh, I know this word. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not that.
Come to me later.
Tell us
Yeah.
in the comments.
It's like a musical.
Make us feel ashamed.
Yep.
But yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it, it's about a detective who goes to this island, like a Scottish island, to investigate a mysterious murder, and things are weird there.
Well,
Yep.
we love weird things.
We do.
I appreciate you guys keeping me around because I'm super weird.
Our own little weird wicker man.
And here's a weird segue. So we've got some open spots in this tournament that we just could not decide on. And since all of you, every time we release a bracket, you yell at us and tell us we're wrong.
And you had so many amazing suggestions when we posed the question.
And-
like, holy cow, that blew up with so many great
Oh, and we'll talk about
ideas.
them. Don't.
And really, this kind of gave us a chance to include 38 titles instead of 32. You know, so this, you know, is an opportunity to recognize more great movies.
Are you saying
Because
you better
there's-
recognize?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No. Or you just don't want me yelling at people, which is what I'm good at. But, fine. We're being nice and letting everybody vote because everybody's got good opinions. Whatever. So, we'll since we're already in the psychological bracket, we'll stick there. We've got 2 open spots, and we're gonna let you guys vote between 4 movies on which of those 4, which 2 should fill out those 2 spots. The 4 movies that we have there are The Witch from 2015, The Babadook from 2014, Hereditary from 2018, and Suspiria from 1977. Jennifer, I'll throw to you first. Do you have any favorites here? Do you have any of these movies that you'd like to touch on?
No, I think the Babadook and Hereditary are the 2 that are going to make it
Okay.
past, personally. I think Suspiria is very kind of hipster film nerd for people who have actually seen it and liked it. And The Witch is a little bit too. The Witch is very controversial. Some people love it and think it's one of the best horror movies ever made, and some think it's insanely boring and not worth their time at all. Where Hereditary has the amazing Toni Collette again. And the Babadook, I don't know, that's another one that's just everyone has heard of. It's the Halloween costume. I think it's going to be those 2 personally.
Before I throw to Ryan, I want to give this a shot. Would thou not love to live deliciously?
It's not bad.
Yeah. Solid.
I mean, because I know Ryan has a witch tattoo.
Wouldst thou like the taste of butter?
That's better. That's much.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is very cool.
Thank you.
I understand. Perfect points on everything there, Jen. I think you broke it down really, really well. Ryan,
Yep.
do you have 2 favorites out of these 4?
I would say The Witch and Suspiria. I'm just kidding. I did go see Suspiria at a midnight showing at Uptown recently, last year or the year before, just so I could get more hipster cred.
Yep.
I went by myself.
What do they call that? What the Girl Scouts wear with all their different badges on it?
The sash,
how's your
the sash
hipster
with the
stash
badges.
coming?
Yeah, you got your merit badge. Yep.
Your Suspiria merit badge.
Yeah. It's I love Suspiria for the score and the colors. It's such
it's gorgeous. It's another artistry.
Yeah, I love Dario
Exercise.
Argento's visual language. But it's not my favorite movie. I feel like it belongs in this tournament though, just because it's one of the most iconic horror movies. The Witch is, I don't know. I love The Witch, obviously.
Yeah.
I think The Witch and Hereditary are my two favorites out of this bunch. Hereditary I saw like 4 times in the theater. I love that movie so much. But Babadook I've only seen once. I tried to watch it again last night actually, but it wasn't available to stream anywhere for free. But as I was putting together this list and kind of writing down who wrote and directed all these lists, well, first off, all 4 of these play-in games, written and directed, true
Same
like
person.
filmmakers. The Witch, written and directed by Robert Eggers. Hereditary, written and directed by Ari Aster. Suspiria by Dario Argento, and The Babadook by Jennifer Kent. I'm pretty sure that The Babadook is the only movie in this whole tournament that was made by a woman.
Female. Yep.
Which is, I mean, this is such a
Written or directed. I believe.
there's several female writers.
Oh, okay. Well,
I believe, but
Yeah.
like
Main-
co-writers at least. But
Yep.
but yeah, definitely the only female director in the bunch. Which I think that's a Hollywood problem systemically.
Yeah.
There's just not enough, movies made by female directors, and there are not enough chances taken on movies made by female directors. But especially in this genre.
I gotta say that I think I do like that angle, though. I mean, I think that's one of my favorite parts of that movie, and I'm not saying necessarily that Babadook is my favorite of these 4, but one of my favorite parts of that movie, because I do enjoy it, is just that angle of really understanding the stress and the pressure that the main character is under, and I think it does really come through so much better because it's a female director.
100%. And that's one of those movies too. I know we talked about earlier, like having an underlying message or symbolism or whatever. That this is one of those movies that really plays into that.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the movie We Need to Talk About Kevin?
Yeah.
No.
Oh man, that was one I thought about. Like I think it was on my like rough long list.
Oh yeah.
It's understandable how you could fit it in here, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It's not a classic like horror movie, but it's
Right.
kind of a horror movie.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
it reminds me a little bit of Babadook in the same sense, where it's just like a mother's worst nightmare. Where you're dealing with a kid who like hates you, kind of.
yep.
Before we jump over to the other 4 playing games, I do just want to say, like, so I don't necessarily have saying which 2 should move on and which 2 shouldn't, but I do have one out of this. I think one rises above all of these. I'm a huge Hereditary fan. Mostly because, personally for me, I've really been into tense movies also lately. I really like movies that make me feel uncomfortable. And not only is Hereditary a movie that makes me feel uncomfortable, but it is super scary. It is. There are some just incredible moments in this movie. Ryan, I'm glad you brought up the fact that it was written and directed by Ari Aster, and just how great of a movie maker he is. And we've alluded to it a few times. His other movie, it just a little too new to be included here. Midsummer, sorry, I forgot to say that. But another absolutely fantastic movie. But Hereditary.
Yeah, me and Jake saw the director's cut in the theater, the
Oh, cool.
the 3-hour version.
Hey, since it's a horror movie, can we call it the director's slice?
Sure.
They're the same thing, right? No, but and also let's not forget we have Toni Collette here again. This is our second.
Yep.
This is our second appearance from Toni Collette. Absolutely amazing in this movie. Pretty much the
and
main.
She got some award nominations too
got...
for this one, right?
Yep.
I don't think she got the Oscar nod.
I know she got the nod.
Yeah.
Didn't she get a Golden
for the Oscar?
Globe?
I know she got several.
I can't remember.
Like nominations for Hereditary. So that makes like 2 like award nominated like horror movie performances
and
by her.
Personally, I will say of the 2 movies, I personally like Midsommar better, but for a general recommendation for everybody, I think Hereditary is a better movie, and I think everybody should see Hereditary. It is a very, very scary movie.
Yeah, so good.
Cool. Well, now we got 4. I'm excited about this part. We got 4 monster movies, and I think this is an area where it gets really, really difficult to choose. So, for vying for 2 different places in our tournament, we have A Quiet Place from 2018, The Fly from 1986, Let the Right One In from 2008, and It Follows from 2014. Ryan, we'll throw to you first this time.
This is a really tough one. There's 3 that I'll tell you right off the bat. I'm eliminating A Quiet Place. Not a huge fan.
Okay.
There are a couple
Unexpected.
big qualms. There are a couple big qualms I have with it. Mainly the bulletin board. If you're familiar with that reference, then you know I don't know why that just drives me up the wall. But there's lots of things
where it says it's sound.
Yeah.
We just keep making noise to tell you that it's
it's like his research he's done about the monsters, and it says like I don't remember all the things that it says, but it's really ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I do think it belongs on this list though, because it was so popular, and it was well done. I think, you know.
Yeah, it's new. The world building of that movie is really neat.
Yeah. The other thing too, I mean, there's, you know, kind of 2 schools of thought with that whole like show don't tell thing, you know, we were talking about a lot in the last episode. This movie takes it to the extreme, and it's like, not only are we going to show you the monster, like you're going to be with the monsters like the whole movie.
Yes.
They're going to be flying around the screen. It's like Starship Troopers in this motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
But, so, I'm taking that one out of contention. The other 3 are all beloved to me. Let the Right One In is my favorite of the bunch. That's the one that's locked.
I love that movie.
That's, you know, when we first started this list, I was like, well, that's locked. Let the Right One In is locked. That's one of the best horror movies of the last, you know, 20 years. But, you know, once you start thinking about like the iconic nature of it, and you know, how popular is it, so on and so forth.
It's so funny because I don't think of that as a particularly scary movie.
No, me neither. That's another ding against it, you know. It's almost more of a vampire drama.
And I do...
Yeah, it has a lot of heart. Like, it's a great coming of age story, which is one of my favorite genres.
Yeah, it's labeled it's labeled as a horror / romance movie.
That's weird. I don't really get. I mean, I suppose it's like a coming of age romance.
Right. That's the other problem. The main characters are both under 15. At least their characters are supposed to be. I do want to say, and I know I'm going to sound crass here, but I love to point out really weird things when it comes to the idea of making movies. And you have to bring in certain people for certain roles. And there's a certain point in this movie, this is not a spoiler, but again, the main characters are both underage. But there is a certain point in this movie where one of the main characters' genitals are shown. So it's hilarious to me that somewhere at some point they put out a call sheet or put out an advertisement and said, "We need a stand-in vagina." Because there's literally that.
I'll never forget. I saw this movie at Riverview for the first time.
Same here.
And the audience like groaned.
Yeah,
I remember
it
being
takes
really
you
like
out of the movie.
off put by it. Like, really, like this. I was so into the movie, and when everybody was like, "Oh my god, grody!" Like, I was like, "Oh, you guys are so fucking immature." But also,
when you go back and think about it in context,
yeah,
it
totally
makes sense. But it's definitely
it's weird.
It's a weird thing. But you know what? Those are. This is a Norwegian movie.
Swedish.
Right? Swedish.
Yeah.
I was about to say the Swedes. They're all crazy.
Scandinavian.
Yeah.
The Scandinavians, they're spread out. They get all that sun for like half the year, and then it's eternal darkness.
And then it's not.
It's like the Thing.
Yep.
Like,
but yeah, the Fly too. So I'm sorry. Let the Right One In is my favorite. The Fly, it's just such a awesome story, and you know, one of the quintessential Cronenberg films. You know, just classic like body horror. Just the unraveling of this character is just crazy. I love that movie. It follows another like modern horror classic. Another one of those that kind of goes beyond the surface meaning of, it's the monster and the victims. It's like, no, there's more meaning to it. And there's, it was kind of part of that like renaissance of synth scores and stuff like that, where it felt very like 80s. And yeah, just a great concept. That was another, Rebecca and I saw it in Portland, and and I'm sure everybody who's familiar with this movie knows the tall man. That, I mean, it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. It was like all of those people in the movie, but in particular him. Like, I remember walking out of the theater afterwards and feeling like looking around like, who are they? Like, like looking through the crowd, like, which one of you is it,
Yep.
Like, that's a rare feeling when you walk out of a horror movie and you're like, fuck, it's real, So yeah, I don't know, between It Follows and The Fly, it's close. But Let the Right One In is my number one from the bunch.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Jen?
Yeah, I'm so glad The Fly is on here. Not that I particularly love that movie in any way, but it's just such a like typical like monster movie when you think of it. You've got the like super famous like transformation scene, and that's So I think that's great, and it really is a throwback movie. Like, this isn't the first version of The Fly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think this is going to be interesting with these four. This is the area I'm most confused as to how our fans are going to vote. I think.
Yeah. Well, they're all so different.
Yeah, they could go.
Like, these are very different movies
different ways.
from very different time periods. Yeah.
I personally love It Follows. I think it's just such a great idea behind a horror film. Such a great concept. But just even over the last few years, how I've talked to people about it, not a lot of people got it. Not a lot of people saw it, and the people who did didn't necessarily connect with it the way I did. So it's gonna be interesting. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some favorites in this whole tournament. Again, I think The Exorcist has a great shot I think the
Come On Eileen
Yeah.
of this tournament.
Let's not besmirch The Exorcist like that. At least you didn't call it the closing time of this tournament.
Oh boy.
I think The Shining has a good shot. Ryan?
Yeah.
What do you...
I think Silence of the Lambs could, even in that same quadrant, give it a challenge.
I think it's going to be Halloween.
That would not surprise me at all. Yeah, it's tough. You know, the other thing that's tough is, will era make a difference? You know, because as we're saying, oh, you know, Exorcist, Halloween, The Shining, maybe those don't get as much love as, you know, 28 Days Later, Blair Witch Project, you know, some of the more recent stuff. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
I'm just looking through here real quick. It looks like, 5 of the 38 movies, if we're including the playing games, we have 5 that were not rated R or just straight up not rated. Like these are all put the kids to bed.
Yeah.
You're not bringing them out for this, so I understand it's going to be tough for people to kind of make decisions on all of this.
There's going to be some really tough matchups for sure.
I'm really excited to see who. Jen, I know you got Halloween, but I think that slasher category it could just go so many different directions. Yeah, and Ryan, like you said, I think era is going to play a big part in all of this.
Can I give my I actually kind of rethinking it, looking at the bracket right now.
All right, tell us.
I have a kind of a dark horse pick here, a 3 seed. I'm going to say Get Out wins it all.
Oh, well, that's what you said for the Oscars,
it's true.
Too.
I was this close.
Get out of here! I know, and I think I really. So we're not printing seeds with this, just so everybody knows.
Yeah,
we can all figure out what the seeds are. I get that. But
that was my fault. I called it a 3 seed, but it's
that's okay.
That's just kind of where it stands in the bracket. It's
we more just kind of placed these. I mean, there's some seeding to it. We're not going to try and lie here and say that there was no thought into it. But
there's definitely the ones that are the most classic are up against the ones that are kind of the last ones in to some degree. Other than that, though, they're just kind of paired with others that we thought would be good matchups.
Yeah, they're just kind of paired around. And yeah. All right, so you got Get Out. I guess I got to make a pick. Jen says Halloween. You know what? I'm gonna go chalky. I'm saying The Exorcist.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Chalky. It's our.
So excited to see what happens.
Everybody went from a different quadrant, so it's probably going to be a monster that wins.
Yep.
Probably. It's got to be The Fly.
Yeah.
It's going to be The Fly.
That would be amazing.
Jeff Goldblum strikes again.
I know. I love Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. So great.
All right. Well, we hope everybody has a super spooky time. Voting in. Why do I keep doing voices? I'm sorry. You guys got to stop me from doing this. This is absolutely terrible. Oh, Jesus. So, yeah. We're excited to have you guys vote in this tournament. We'll have one more episode to kind of wrap up our One Hit Wonders tournament in a few days and see how all that goes. But yeah, we hope everybody is going to have a fantastic fall and a fantastic Halloween season. Any last words, guys?
Boo!
Wow. I think I've exhausted all my words.
All right. Well, we will check in with you guys real soon. Have a great night.
Adios.
Good night.